Hi everyone, and welcome to another video from DispairRepair.com. In this video we're going to show you how to use a pair of jumper cables. So if you find yourself in a situation where you can't start your car because of a dead battery, this video should help. So stay tuned. DispairRepair.com. Now, before we start, I would just like to mention a few words about the jumper cables themselves. There are two most important things. First, you should always have a pair of jumper cables in the car. And second, the quality of jumper cables you have. Having jumper cables in the car is, at least in my opinion, this doesn't have to be the case with you, is at the same level as having a spare tire or having a set of tools in the car or having the emergency kit and so on. So it's almost mandatory. Why is this? Well, during your driving career, so to say, you will find yourself in a situation where the battery will go flat, okay? In this case, you have two options. Either you have jumper cables, you find another driver who will help you on the road and will solve your problem in a matter of minutes. The other option is towing, calling a towing service, trying to jumpstart the car by pushing it, and so on. All of these procedures are both costly and sometimes outright dangerous, especially if you don't know how to do it properly. So, as people would say in my country, they don't eat bread and they don't weigh a ton. So have a pair of jumper cables in the car and you'll be able to get yourself out of trouble in no time. Second is the quality of jumper cables. Now, I'd like to mention this because I've seen that you can buy jumper cables almost anywhere, okay? In a shopping mall, on the gas station, wherever. But most of those cables are not of very good quality. So when you buy jumper cables, you should make sure that they have a couple of characteristics. Now, these are a pair of the jumper cables I have. To tell you the truth, I bought them used because they are very good. Now, the things you should look at when buying them is first the clamps, these here. They should be made of quality material and they should have a good spring, so when you put them on the battery terminal like this, they can have a good grip. Second is and I'll take this off, I hope you can see this, the inner part of the cable, what's inside the insulation, should be made out of copper. This will guarantee a good conductivity between two batteries, which is the most important thing. The third thing is length of the cable. The cables should have a lot of length so that if you're in a position where the other car is a bit far away, it can't come close, then you won't have a problem because the battery cables are short. If they're short, they can't reach the other car and you can't start your car. Okay, so I hope you can see this. This is the length of the cables I have, so whatever the case may be, I can get out of trouble. So buy a set of quality jumper cables, even if you have to give a bit more money, because it may mean the difference between solving your problem and not being able to start the car. And now the most important part about the jumper cables, and that is the color of the handles and the cables. Remember this well. The red one is for the plus battery terminal and the black one is for the minus battery terminal. This is standard for any jumper cables you'll buy. They've made them this way so you don't accidentally cross-connect the battery, meaning that you put a plus on one car and put it on the minus of other car. This is very dangerous and can cause damage on both your car or the donor's car. So remember this is very important for the following procedure. The red one is for the plus battery terminal and the black one is for the minus battery terminal. Now, once you've concluded that the battery is dead, so you get into the car, turn the ignition key, nothing happens, or there's a weak cranking sound or something like that, and you conclude that the battery is weak or dead, you have two options. First option is that by some chance you have a spare battery around the household. You can take that battery, connect it to your car and start the car. In this case, the much more logical solution, of course, is to replace the car battery altogether. If you want to see how it's done, we made a separate video on this topic. I'll leave a link below, so if you decide to replace the car battery, you'll know how to do it. Second option is much more common. This is mostly used when you're left stranded on a parking lot or on the road or somewhere else. That is to find another driver who will lend you some electricity so you can start the car. We'll show both of these solutions. As you'll see, they are more or less the same. The only difference is that in one case the battery is outside the car, and in the other option the battery is on another car. And now for the first option. That is when you have a spare battery and you don't want to replace it, but you want to jumpstart with it. The first thing you do is to find where the battery is and open the plastic or take off the plastic covering. Okay, in this case, in the Skoda, it's like this. It tends to fall back a bit, but just hold it with your hand. If you can take it off completely on your car, that is the best option. And from this point, you take the plus cable, the red one, put it on the plus cable of the car. Then take the other clamp of the same cable and put it on the plus of the donor battery. Do the same thing with the black one, with the minus. So, minus clamp on minus, and the other clamp on the minus of the donor battery, and it should look something like this. So remember, plus on plus, minus on minus. After this, you should be able to start the car, and if everything is okay, you should do the next. Do the reverse order. First, take off the minus from the car and set it aside. Take it off from the donor battery. After that, take the plus from the car and then the plus from the donor battery. Now, why is this important? If you do it in such a way that you leave both of the clamps connected to either battery, there is a possibility that the clamps may accidentally connect and cause a short circuit, which is not good and can cause damage to both your car and the battery on the car or the donor battery. So do it in this order and everything will be okay. Now for option number 2, which is the most common option, and that is you're left with a dead battery on a parking lot or somewhere on the side of the road or wherever, and someone has decided to lend you a helping hand. Now the first thing you have to do is properly position both of the cars. Now, there are a couple of things you should take care about. First, maintain a safe distance between both cars. This will reduce the possibility of accidentally hitting one another, and you'll have the proper working space for using the cables. Second, you should take care that the cables are not stretched between the batteries. If they're stretched, they can accidentally fall off and you won't be able to start the car. This is where the length of the battery cables come in place, as we mentioned in the beginning of the video. Now, once you've positioned the cars properly, it's time to connect the cables. Now, the same as the previous option, plus goes on plus, minus goes on minus. The red cable is for the plus and the black cable is for the minus. Now, first take one cable, take both of the clamps in your hands, take off the battery lid, take it off completely if you can do it on your car, put it on the plus battery terminal, and put it on the plus battery terminal of the donor car, like this. Then take the black cable, put it on the minus battery terminal and on the minus terminal of the donor car, like this. Now this is what it's supposed to look like on both cars, like this, and on the donor car like this. So plus on plus, minus on minus. Now, what's most important here is that both of the cable clamps are firmly positioned, okay, so they don't accidentally fall off, and that they're properly connected so there's a good conductivity between both batteries. Now, once the cables are connected, the driver of the donor car should start the engine and press the accelerator pedal a bit. This way you'll get some more electricity so you can start your car more easily. After that, get inside your car, and if everything is okay, you should be able to start the car. After that, the driver of the donor car should turn off their car and you should disconnect the cables. The main thing here is to disconnect the cables one by one. So don't go and take off both of the cables off of one car and then both of the cables off of the other car. Do it one by one. In this case, assuming you started the car, first take off the plus cable like this, and then the plus cable off of your car like this. Put the cable aside. The same thing with the black minus cable. So take it off like this and like this. Return the battery lid back in place, and that's the whole procedure. One more thing I must mention, which is a common mistake and problem when people use jumper cables and they're not acquainted to working around cars or engine noise or something like that. In a real life situation, it's a bit confusing. You connect the cables, the driver of the donor car starts the engine, then you go start your engine, both of the engines are working at the same time, and people at this point make a common mistake. They get confused. So they either start panically taking off cables from here or from here, and the cables can connect to each other and cause damage. There's no need to do this. Also, one more common mistake is that there are a lot of people doing this. Only you or someone else should be doing it, just one person. If two people are here in this working space, it can get a bit confusing. You can hit each other and the cables can accidentally get connected again and cause trouble. So the best way to do this is one person doing it, and when the engines are running, don't get confused. Just do everything just like the engines are not working. Take the cables off one by one and there will be no problems. And that's it. Once you've successfully started your car, don't forget to pack the jumper cables back into your car and you're good to go. Be sure to solve the battery problem as soon as possible so you don't get into trouble again. On this part, I would also like to say, be a good driver. Always help other drivers when they're in trouble. If you have a pair of jumper cables and someone else has a dead battery, be a good person and help them. So that's it for this time. I hope this video helps. I hope you'll be able to successfully start your car with jumper cables. If you find the time, visit us at our website despairrepair.com, where you can find this tutorial in written form and you can find other car and driving tips. Also, please like and subscribe. It's a huge help for what we're doing. Thank you for your time and thanks for watching.